Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Dan Blanchard from the Traveling Time with Dan show, where we mix travel with history, with leadership, and of course with me, Dan Blanchard. Today, I am at the Bennington Battle Monument in Vermont, and we're going to talk about the Green Mountain Boys. Right, they wore their green uniforms, and they were called the Green Mountain Boys. First, I want to show you right here. There's a stone right here. It says, on this site stood the Continental Storehouse, object of the British attack that was repulsed by the coalition forces at the Battle of Bennington, August 16, 1777. That was huge because that set the colonists up to win Saratoga, which is going to be the turning point of the war. But I'm getting ahead of myself, all right? So let me just kind of show you where I'm at here. There's the Bennington Battle Monument right there. All right, and I'm going to kind of make my way this way, show you a few other things. So let me talk to you about this area. All right, this area of Vermont, believe it or not, it kind of like didn't exist. It wasn't Vermont. All right, it was like New Hampshire and like New York. So what existed, Vermont didn't quite exist yet. So what's going to happen is there's actually going to be, in the beginnings of the Green Mountain Boys, they're actually going to come into existence over land disputes, right? Again, Vermont doesn't exist yet. We're talking like New Hampshire. All right, so New Hampshire and New York are fighting over some land titles, both claiming title to the same area between the Connecticut River and like Lake George, right? They're claiming the same area, and the King George is going to have to step in and make a decision, right? Because these guys are like fighting over it. So he's going to basically say, hey, guess what? That's New York's. That's New York's land. New Hampshire, you lose. New York, you win, right? Well, now, Ethan Allen, he's going to get really fired up over this because basically New York's going to say, all you New Hampshire people, get out. All right, get out. And they started kicking them out, and they're saying they had to repurchase their homes and land and all that stuff. And then, went to like court, and there was these ejectment suits where they were just like kicking people out of their homes. The New Hampshire people were going crazy, right? So Ethan Allen, he's a little firebrand. He steps up and he creates this de facto autonomous zone, almost like a lawless zone. Like if a New York person comes in there, they're going to get whipped, beat up, killed. Who knows? Somebody comes in, tries to remove like one of the New Hampshire people from their homes. Ethan Allen and his boys, who they're calling like this mob, the Bennington mob, right? They're going to just take it to them. They're going to make sure those New York people are running for their lives. So this whole kill or be killed de facto autonomous zone exists. And people, some people are thanking Ethan Allen and his gang. Obviously the New York people are not. They're doing the opposite. Sure, King George wasn't happy about that either. So listen, Ethan Allen doesn't do it all on his own. He eventually teams up with this guy named Seth Warner, who he teams up with. And Seth Warner, he's like the tactical stability guy, right? The tactical stability guy that kind of gets everything going. Ethan Allen, firebrand, keep becoming famous with his rah-rah speeches and his write-ins and all that. But Seth Warner is the tactical guy. He's the one that knows how to make the military things they're doing work, right? He knows how to run all that stuff, all right? So he is going to be a great compliment to Ethan Allen for the Green Mountain Boys. And there's a statue of him right over there, if you could see it. That's Seth Warner. He's right over there. And this obviously is the Bennington Battle Monument. All right. So a couple of things are going to happen here. The British and the American colonists are going to go to war. It's going to be the American Revolutionary War. All right. The Green Mountain Boys are going to become part of that. And this is where the Green Mountain Boys are going to pivot. They're going to pivot from being, just to say, like a local resistance to a continental rebellion, right? And one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to go up to Fort Ticonderoga. Now, the funny thing is, Ethan Allen goes up there and he kind of meets Benedict Arnold, up to the famous or infamous Connecticut general who betrayed us at West Point. And here's the crazy thing. Connecticut does not appoint Benedict Arnold to go up to Fort Ticonderoga to take those cannons away from the British and bring them to Boston for the colonists. New York actually appoints him. And guess who appoints Allen? Ethan Allen. Guess the Green Mountain Boy. Guess who appoints him? Connecticut. Yep. Arnold's home state, Connecticut, doesn't appoint Arnold. They appoint Ethan Allen to go to Fort Ticonderoga to get those cannons for our use over there in Boston. All right, so those guys get up there. They take over the fort, whatnot. Fort Knox. Knox is going to make sure that the noble train, the artillery noble train, gets those cannons to Boston. And when the British see it sitting up on that hill, the British are going to evacuate Boston. They know they don't have a chance. Now, this is where maybe Ethan Allen, Benedict Arnold, and those guys should have left good enough alone, because after their glory in Fort Ticonderoga, they're going to head up to Canada, saying that they're going to try to liberate the Canadians from the British up there. It doesn't work out there. Benedict Arnold gets shot in the leg. Everything gets messed up. Ethan Allen gets caught, arrested. He's thrown into prison for a few years. So things don't go well. But eventually, obviously the war is continuing. The war is going on. And eventually, you're going to have the Battle of Bennington. It's going to take place, right? And it's going to be huge, right? And Ethan Allen may not be able to take a place in it. His buddy, his partner is taking place. Seth Warner is taking place. I showed you a statue over there. Seth Warner is playing a role. And they're going to team up with the New Hampshire militia and General Stark, which I don't know if you can see. General Stark is right over there. That's his statue. And they're going to have a glorious battle here where they're going to beat the British back, and that's going to turn the tide and make it so that set them up to win the Saratoga battle, which is vital and becomes the turning point of the war. And that happened because of this right here. And look at the monument because of it, how important they said it was, right? So basically in 1777, right, they're going to basically win their independence from England. And they're also going to win their independence from New York, right? And this area is going to be called Vermont, but not right away. Not right away. First, they're going to be talking about, well, let's call it New Connecticut Republic. Yes, that's what they're going to call it. The New Connecticut Republic is what they want to call this. Eventually, they're going to say, nah, let's call it something else. Let's call it Vermont, derived from the French word vert and mont. The French word vert means green, mont means mountain. All right, so Vermont becomes Vermont, not New Connecticut, becomes Vermont. It means Green Mountain, right? And the Green Mountain Boys wore those green uniforms, so they're the Green Mountain Boys. And I guess you can say all the rest is history, right? So another interesting thing is they did become the Vermont Republic, and that existed from 1777 to 1791, where they pretty much acted as their own country before they joined the United States as a state of Vermont. So let me ask you about the Green Mountain Boys here. Now, they started off, they were called the Bennington Mob, and they did some pretty crazy things. Maybe they used a little too much violence, but then they pivoted and became a Continental Rebellion, and good for us, we're happy they did. All right? But here's the thing. Are the Green Mountain Boys, are they heroes? Or are they vigilantes? It's a pretty good question. I think a lot of us, considering that we won the war and we got to keep this place and call it the United States of America, think we call them heroes. But did they start off as vigilantes? They probably did. Yeah, something to maybe wrestle with, right? When I do my Travel on Time with Dan shows, I like to mix travel with history with leadership. If you have not been up here and seen this monument yet, and seen this park and these statues, this is pretty cool. You should come up here and see this. History, I've already given you some. So what's the leadership, right? What's the leadership lesson? Well, I would say the leadership lesson probably is stand up for what is right, even when it's hard to do. Remember, leadership starts before authority. Ethan Allen didn't have any authority when he was being part of that Bennington mob and making sure his New Hampshire people, which would later become Vermont, his New Hampshire people weren't being kicked out of their homes. He didn't have any authority. The authority was against him. All right, the court was against him. King George III was against him. And then when we turn into the Green Mountain Boys turn into a Continental Rebellion, right, they didn't have any authority. The authority was England. That was the authority, right? But he stood up against them. And we all say, thank God, the Green Mountain Boys did stand up, because now we have this big, beautiful country is ours. All right, everybody, thank you for spending time with me on the Traveling Time with Dan show, where we mix travel and history and leadership, and of course with me, Dan. I'm going to be back real soon with another great episode somewhere else. You take care now.